The media only? Okay. You want the video as well? Good. Okay, of course it's on screen. Okay, it's good. Okay. So we start now? Okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا مولانا رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Alhamdulillah, inshallah ta'ala we'll continue where we stopped. And after talking about some of the beginning points when it comes to understanding this science, and it is the most unique and detailed science in Islam. So if someone was to explain about this whole, the whole life they would spend explaining, and you still wouldn't get the whole picture or idea of it unless you go through that journey yourself, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chooses you to go through that. Now, what we're going to mention now are some outcomes that people might see. That people might see when they're on a journey, when they have started this journey of suluk or tasawwuf, or they've started traveling on their path towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These outcomes are not a condition. These outcomes are not goals. Like we mentioned many times, that our goal is only to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And these outcomes happen to some people and don't happen to others. Many people I know, from the first day they started, from the first day they entered, subhanAllah, they see things. Some of them from the first day, they don't only see dreams, but they see things when they're awake. Other people, they spend 20, 30, 40 years and they don't see as much, but alhamdulillah, the effect is still there. Some people have reached high stages of wilaya, high states of wilaya, and still haven't witnessed any of these things, and it's only because of other pious awliya telling them, explaining to them where they are and what their rank is, they understand that. So these things are not conditions, but the general norm is that someone who's working on themselves, someone who's working on their nafs, and has a correct chain and ittisal, someone who's following a shaykh according to the Quran and Sunnah, may notice some of these outcomes in certain times in their life. So the first thing that many people see and notice are dreams. And dreams in Islam are very significant and very important to take into consideration. We know that the Prophet ﷺ mentions that dreams are 1/70th of prophethood, meaning that prophethood only started with dreams. The Prophet ﷺ, at the beginning, before he knew that he was chosen to be the Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the main thing he would see is dreams. He reached a point that he was just seeing dreams, and the next day or whenever he woke up, he would see immediately the exact same thing he saw in his dreams. As the hadith mentions, أول ما بدأ به رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من النبوة الرؤيا أو الرؤى الصادقة، فكان لا يرى مناما إلا وقع كفلق الصبح. The Rasul ﷺ, the first thing that started on his journey was that he began to see dreams, and he would never see anything without it turning into a reality immediately after he wakes up, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that was the beginning. What's happening is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving him indication. His nafs is starting to be connected or to notice things and to receive from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A similar thing can happen, and that's why mentions that dreams are open to all Muslims. Anyone, whether they follow tasawwuf or not, whether they're into this or not, it's something that is accessible and available to all Muslims, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives to even non-Muslims sometimes. So dreams are an outcome that can happen many times for someone on this journey. Now, when dealing with dreams, some people reject dreams totally, or they neglect them and they don't see any significance in dreams, and they see dreams to be nonsense. Other people hold on to them and build all of their hopes on them. The way Ahl Sunnah and the way the moderate approach to dreams, the way the people of the soul see dreams, are that dreams are mubashirat, as the Prophet said. Dreams are glad tidings. Dreams are there to encourage you and to make you basically, give you an indication or push you towards good or warn you from something dangerous, stuff like that. And that's the middle approach. Prophet ﷺ mentions that, أصدقكم رؤيا أصدقكم حديثا. The one who's more truthful in his words sees more accurate dreams. Now, we can't rely on dreams like 100%, whether it's to get rulings from them, whether it is to understand what is definitely right or wrong 100%. But we definitely can take dreams into consideration. And that is the way of Ahl Sunnah. So if someone says, I don't care, I saw a dream, I'm not going to care about it, I'm not going to think about it, it's not going to help me make a decision. That's wrong. If you're doubting something and Allah gives you a dream, then that's a good indication. But if someone builds their whole, all their a'mal and their actions just on dreams, then that's wrong. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions many dreams in the Quran, and He mentioned the interpretation. So the dream of the people in Surah Yusuf, when they saw the man who saw bread on top of his head and the birds were eating from the bread, and the other man who saw himself pouring alcohol, pouring wine. Many other dreams, the dream of Yusuf alayhi salam, when he saw the planets making sujood to him, or the stars making sujood to him. These were all dreams that had an interpretation that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran. Now, dreams are three types, of course, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from shaitan, and from your nafs. Dreams from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, meaning that they are good dreams that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to see and gives you a clear ishara. Dreams from the nafs means that something you're thinking about or wanting or you're worried about, it comes out in the form of a dream, so you see what you are thinking about in the dream. And a dream from shaitan is usually something that people who have weak iman and weak faith see a lot. So they're usually something that irritates you, or something that is unclear, something that is messed up. There's something, not clear about a dream. But the dreams that have meanings and interpretations are generally dreams that have isharat, that have, like symbols in them. For example, someone might see themselves walking on a long path. And then on that path, you see different roads. And one road, is light, the other one's dark. Something like that, These are examples of isharat, of indications, of clear symbols in the dream that show, telling you what your dream means is the job of the mufassir, the person who tells us and he gives you the meaning of the dream, the interpreter of the dream. He is the one who gives you the meaning. And I was just reading in one of the books of fiqh yesterday, or 2 days ago, one of our great scholars, Ibn Hajar al-Haytami, rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentions that وَتَعْبِيرُ الرُّؤْيَا نَوْعٌ مِنَ الْفَتْوَى, that telling someone the meaning of a dream is one of the different types of fatwa. And we know that if someone gives fatwa, there's certain credentials and certain conditions that they must have to give fatwa. Interpreting a dream has similar conditions. It is considered fatwa. If someone gives the wrong interpretation, then it's on their head. And that's why no one should talk about dreams without having solid knowledge. And the knowledge of dreams is not something you can just learn in a day and night, but it's something that is usually born with you, something that is natural, and something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives to certain people and doesn't give to others. As we know, some of the Sahaba were more accurate in interpreting dreams than others. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he wanted to show the Prophet ﷺ how good he was, or he wanted to test his ability in front of the Prophet ﷺ. So one man came to ask the Prophet ﷺ about a dream. Abu Bakr told him it means this, 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 this. And the Prophet ﷺ said to him, you have given the correct answer in some of the in some of the aspects of the dream, but other aspects of the dream you didn't give the correct answer. So it's something that really takes a lot of understanding and experience in life. Like I said, Islamic rulings can't be taken from dreams or even from visions. Okay, but we can use what we see to help us understand what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong. An example of this, of how to deal with a dream, is an imam. This is an actual story that one of my Shaykh told me. An imam in Jordan used to combine prayers for no reason. Okay, so many imams today, they take the fatwa that, you know what, if the weather is going to rain, there's a few drops, in the sky, then you can combine Dhuhr and Asr, Maghrib and Isha. And I remember overseas when I was living in Saudi, I remember we had a few imams like that. The day before that day, it rained a tiny bit. So the next day at Dhuhr time, the imam decided to join Dhuhr and Asr. There was no rain, the streets weren't even wet. There was just, a nice breeze in the air. And he decided to join Dhuhr and Asr. And the people all joined with him. So this imam used to join the prayers all the time. And he didn't really take care of looking into what he's doing, and he wasn't careful of that, being wrong. So, subhanallah, the imam saw a dream. So one of the elders in the masjid passed away. People used to pray behind him. So the imam saw him in the dream. The elder man was in his grave. And the angels of the grave came to the elder man. They asked him, why were you doing that? Why were you combining prayers for no reason? There's no reason to combine your prayers. None of the madhab say you can combine prayers for no reason like that. And why are we combining them? So he said, it's because of the imam. So the angel said to him, okay, we'll deal with him when he comes. So this is an example for the imam to go back to the books of fiqh, go back to the scholars and look up about it and ask about what you've seen, and let this be a waking up, a call for you to wake up and to revise what you're doing. That's how we should deal with dreams. Now, another type of dreams that many people see out there is known as Abu Lubd, and it's basically a state when someone feels that they are between sleep. They're not sleeping, they're not awake. So you're in a state that's, between these two. You've just woken up, or you're just getting up from sleep, and you feel that something is holding you down. That something is holding you down from all angles. You can't move. You can't get up from bed. Okay. Usually that is the shaitan, and this dream is this type of vision or dream is usually there when someone has weak iman. They have to work on their faith. They have to work on their adhkar, the Quran. They're not connected enough with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay. Another level after dreams is what is known as firasa. That's a level higher than dreams. The Prophet says in the famous hadith, اتقوا فراسة المؤمن فإنه ينظر بنور الله. Be aware of the firasa. Okay? And firasa is translated as insight, or perception and insight. So beware of the inside of a Muslim, because he can see through the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Many of the Sahaba were famous with this. And firasa is a science that is studied in some countries, and basically this science tells you that looking at the face of someone, the madhar, the outcome of someone, can give you an indication of that person. Some people can tell basic things from firasa. Like some Muslims, when you sit with someone, you don't feel comfortable with them, and you find that person is really far away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When someone, you sit with them, you feel peace and iman. You feel this person has a light face. This is all an example of, like minor firasa, beginnings of firasa. It's a type of firasa. This a lot of Muslims can relate to and see a lot. Some young kids, mashallah, have strong firasa, and others have weaker firasa. Now, the scholars mentioned that this can reach a high level, that people, and I've heard this from someone who has nothing to do with tasawwuf at all. Someone overseas, he said that this so and so was famous to have firasa, maybe he was close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to the point that he saw two people walking and he said, "You've just done this type of sin. Repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." And it was true. Many people famous for that, even Ibn Taymiyyah and his fatwa mentions things like this. So it's something that is, not strange, and a lot of you might have heard stories about this. That is also a level of receiving and understanding and things starting to open up for you. Firasa. After firasa, the next level after that, higher than that, is what is known as ilham. Ilham is inspiration. So when you start to get inspiration, okay, you're starting to receive more direct messages from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we mentioned in a past class that ilham is similar to ideas that come into your head, into your mind, that have a specific, meaning towards them. So someone all of a sudden gets the idea that, something bad is happening. I have to be careful. Mothers, they say, have this extra sense. They can tell when the kids are in trouble. That's similar to ilham. So if someone was to get these feelings, then that is something that might increase when the person goes further in their journey towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, in some cases, the ilham can get stronger and stronger, to the case that it's not only an idea, but they can hear it. Okay? And this is known as al-hatif. If someone can hear a sound or an idea, known as al-hatif, but most inspirations are in the heart. Most inspirations are in the heart. Higher than ilham is what is very famous and known as kash, okay, which means explosion. Explosion. And explosion means that non-visual things to others become visual to a person. And basically, many ahadith about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam teach us that he had the highest level of kashf. Rasulullah mentions to the Sahaba, just generally, casually, when he was in the masjid, he said, straighten your lines, okay? Because I can see you from behind me, from the back of my head, just the way I can see you from in front of me. That's how strong his kashf was. In another hadith, he was praying and he saw Jannah and Nar right in front of him, just in front of him. And he stepped back when he saw the Nar, and he stepped forward when he saw Jannah. So Prophet used to have a very high level of kashf that he could see these things. And in certain states, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him more kashf than others. So in one state, the Sahaba were nagging him, asking questions that they shouldn't ask. Prophet, he went into a state of kashf. He said, whatever you ask me right now, I will answer. And people started to ask him every question. One of the people asked him, Ya Rasulullah, is my father so-and-so or not? Because people were doubting his lineage. Prophet said to him, yes, your father is so-and-so. Another man came and said, Ya Rasulullah, where is my camel? It lost. Told him to go find it in this place. Another man said, Ya Rasulullah, am I going to go to Jannah or Nar? Prophet said, you're not going to go to Jannah. To that point, that's how much Prophet was abused by these questions, that he was to tell them any answer. And Umar, when he saw that, he started to cry and he begged Rasulullah, Ya Rasulullah, radina billahi rabba, wa bil-Islam dina bika nabiyya. He said, we're happy with you as a Prophet. We're happy with Islam's religion. We don't need to know anymore. We don't need to know the unseen. But this is an example of non-visual things becoming visual. People seeing things that other people don't see. And this happened to the Prophet in many ahadith in Bukhari and Muslim. There's other hadith that tell us that even other than the Prophet had something similar happen to them. So we know the famous hadith that Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he was at his home. And so forget about the hadith of Abu Bakr, it's a different story. But many of the Sahaba, Umran bin Hussein in Sahih Muslim, was walking in the street. He said, I used to hear the rocks saying Assalamu alaikum to me when I passed by. I used to hear the rocks saying Assalamu alaikum to me. كانت تسلم علي الشجر والحجر until I practiced cupping. And once I practiced cupping, it stopped. And when I stopped cupping, came back to me. Now, many other hadith tell us about other Sahaba and other individuals who had similar state like this, who saw things and who could tell things. But Umar radiallahu anhu reached the state when he was giving khutbah on the minbar, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed him the Sahaba in a different city who were in the middle of a battle in a different city, and these Sahaba were in danger, and he called out to them, said, Ya Sariyat al-Jabal, and the Sahaba ran to the area where Umar told them to hide, and they were not defeated in that battle. So kashf is many levels, but this is something that can happen to people who have a close state to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who have done a lot of work on their nafs. Their nafs becomes so pure that it can easily receive from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, kashf is possible for everyone, okay? But there are so many barriers that we have that are stopping us from reaching that level. And others might not have it for a reason. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala might know that kashf might harm this individual person. Someone might not be good to receive kashf. For them, it's better not to receive, and that's an individual situation, but generally it can happen to many people. Now, one of the examples of kashf, like I mentioned, is that Prophet he walked by two graves, and he mentioned that these two people in the graves were being punished. He could see the punishment, and he mentioned the reason they were being punished, and then he got a stick, he broke it in half, and he put the stick on top of each grave, and he said that that would stop the punishment a little bit. Many other hadith, like I mentioned, talk about kashf. Now, what are the proofs that kashf is possible? The ones I mentioned are an example. A few other examples and proofs for this are the same proofs that we mentioned when we talk about karamat. Talk about gifts that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can give, or miracles that Allah can give to the pious people. The same proofs are proofs that people can witness kashf. Prophet ﷺ also says in Sahih Muslim, if you were to be, لو كنتم على ما كنتم عليه, لو ظللتم أو لو دمتم على ما أنتم عليه عندي لصافحتكم الملائكة بالطرقات. If you were to be in the same state that you are with me all the time, then the angels will be shaking your hands, okay, while you're in bed and while you walk down the aisles of Medina. This is a very famous hadith that most of you probably know. So Prophet is saying that that is possible if you were to be in that state all the time. So in Tasawwuf, we're trying to make our state always better and higher. Another hadith in Sahih Bukhari, the Prophet says that a cow was whipped by its master, and he responded to the master, said, you're not supposed to do this to us. We're not created to be whipped. We're not created to be harmed. The master said, the master heard the cow talk. So Sahaba said, Ya Rasulullah, how can a cow talk? Prophet said, I believe in this, Abu Bakr believes this, and Umar believes in this. So some of the Sahaba had a strong understanding about kashf than others. Prophet mentions, as in Surah Al-Tirmidhi, the owl will not come until the belt and the shoe of someone who talked to them. So this is something Prophet mentioned in Surah Al-Tirmidhi. Many other hadith just like this. Also, the hadith of the piece of wood that told the farmer the Prophet ﷺ had been sent to Medina to go look for him. So someone who wasn't even Muslim yet was told to catch him. Of course, Abu Bakr and his family, many hadith when they were eating and the food would grow under them. Also in Surah Yusuf, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the type of catch when he says that the brothers of Yusuf took Yusuf's clothes with them back to their father, and he was miles away from them, and he could smell Yusuf's smell. That's also an example. One of the Sahaba had the same thing happen to him, as mentioned in the Sahih. He said when he was he was in the Battle of Uhud, he said, "Inni la ajidu riha al-jannah duna Uhud." I can smell Jannah behind Uhud. And the Prophet, he saw things like Musa alayhi salam praying in his grave while he went past. Many of these things are very famous. So these are examples of some things that could happen to some. And there's many more to talk about, but this is just an example. Just an example of what people could witness, what could happen to some people, and there are many other examples and levels of things that will happen. But this is all possible for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to create as many proofs for these things. And these are only small outcomes that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can use to indicate to certain people to give them guidance. Allah ta'ala. Any questions? Inshallah. Inshallah. If there's no questions. And even in the chat, if you don't answer in the chat, it's fine. If not, inshallah ta'ala, we'll definitely stop and continue. Okay. جزاكم الله خيرا. صلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وإياكم وإياكم.
جزاكم الله خير.